Yeah, hey guys, welcome to today's live event of Tech Roles Uncovered. It's Thursday, so it's the fifth live event of our series. And in this series, we are talking about different roles in tech, always with a great, inspiring guest. If you're here for the first time, you need to know that you can add value to this event by, for example, asking questions directly to our guest or by sharing your experience. And we are happy to answer the question or sharing also your experience with a wider audience and cover that during our stream. Yeah, today's role is the AWS Evangelist. And if I'm honest, this role is quite new to me. So, this person that I have here with me today, that's the first person that I know that has this role. So, I'm very excited to get to know more or to learn more about what is this role about. Talking of my guest, I invited an incredible guest who has quite a big experience already in different roles in tech. So he worked already as a cloud engineer, as a solution architect, of course, as a software developer, but also as a DevOps engineer. And currently, he is an AWS evangelist at Kreuzwerker. I'm very excited that he's here today. He's the man with the extraordinary dress code. And let's say hey to Manuel Vogel. Welcome.
Hi, Sarah. Nice. Thank you for the nice introduction. I've been smiling the whole time. Yes, so kind of this golden jacket here and around, but yeah, I can dive a little bit deeper into what's about this jacket and everything else later
Yeah,
in the interview.
let's keep it for 5 minutes,
Sure.
and I think we will definitely come back to it. Thanks for being here and taking the time talking with us about your role as an AWS evangelist. Before we start or dig deep into the topic, I also prepared four either or questions for you. So just briefly answer the questions so that we get a bit of an insight or
Mhm.
maybe a little bit know a little bit more about you. Yeah, right away.
Sure. Let's
So
go.
my first question is, um, do you prefer working with containers or serverless?
Containers.
Okay. uh, well, I'm not a software engineer, so I
That's
cannot
fine.
I cannot comment on that. But I expected something like, it depends. Sometimes there, but it was a clear answer.
It's
Container.
either or. It's like
Yeah, okay,
shoot.
good. So, answer question number two. What was the hardest certificate that you did? Was it the security certificate or the machine learning certificate at AWS?
Mm. For me, it was a different one. So for me, it was networking.
Hmm.
Which for me was the toughest because I come from a developer background and networking I really had to learn from scratch. So
Hmm.
that was the toughest, and I also failed it once.
Okay.
Yeah, but I learned a lot on the way, so I was grateful. But networking definitely for me personally was the hardest.
Okay. But the other ones, they were quite easy, or how would you say that?
No, easy. I think no certificate is easy. Let's say some were more straightforward. Like
Uh-huh.
for example, the DevOps professional was very straightforward for me. I mean, every exam needs a certain preparation for
Hmm.
sure. You need to be ready for the exam, especially when you do it remotely. So
Hmm.
you cannot leave your screen for I don't know 2-3 hours. So you need to
Oh.
be prepared. Yeah,
Hmm.
or you write it in a test center. But DevOps Pro was for me really straightforward because I've been working in this area for more than 5 or 6 years, so it was really straightforward. I knew the services, but I mean, yeah, networking was
Hmm.
really I had to learn it from scratch. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
So, coming to the third question, a very interesting one. Which animal or maybe yoga pose do
Mhm.
you prefer? Is it the dolphin or the camel?
Mm, Dolphin. I don't know the dolphin pose,
You
so
don't know the
I
dolphin
don't know it. I
pose.
would have to Google it now. So
Okay,
if I
it's
could,
very similar to the down dog,
uh-huh.
but you lay down with like your arms and you have
Okay.
your
Okay.
well
Let's
I
see.
Googled yesterday and then I found it,
Okay.
and I definitely did it in one of my yoga
Okay.
sessions.
Um, yeah, I mean, yoga I've been practicing also for quite some years, but I don't know Dolphin. Maybe I know it when I do it. However, camel pose is not one of my favorite. If I could replace Dolphin with pigeon,
Mhm.
which I definitely know, so I'd
Okay.
rather prefer pigeon because it's a really nice stretch for kind of relax the hips. I mean, we're sitting all day, so I'd rather prefer pigeon.
Mhm. Cool.
I think maybe some folks also have to Google pigeon pose, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
Let's Google asana yoga pose, and then you will
Yeah.
definitely come up with some animal poses, and it's quite funny. Okay, and then the last question: which wine do you prefer? Do you prefer Riesling from Baden or a Frankfurt apple wine?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, I've been living in Frankfurt for 4 years. So I must say the first Apfelwein was horrible. But you get used to it. I mean, I know you're originally from Frankfurt as well. So
Yeah.
yes, so I definitely never did the sweet one. So
Mhm.
there's I always did the one which you accepted even if you're like moving there. But yeah,
Mhm.
like for now, I like Apfelwein, but I still prefer like the Riesling because I'm coming from that southern Baden region.
Yeah.
Definitely Riesling.
Definitely, you have to get used to Frankfurt apple wine. It's nothing that comes overnight. I think you have to practice this taste a little bit in order to like
Mhm.
it. But yeah, I
It
think,
goes it goes good with the Handkäse, with the Musik.
yeah,
So yeah.
something I always, yeah, I don't eat Handkäse, but that's
Okay,
another stream. I think we have to talk about Frankfurt food.
good.
But that was the introduction part. So thank you very much. I think the hard part is over right now.
Okay,
And yeah, um, we can close the session. No, we don't.
sure.
No, we don't. We don't end the session here.
Mhm.
Definitely, we continue with the main part. And um, yeah, maybe Manuel, if you would like to introduce yourself
Sure.
also a little bit,
Of
maybe
course.
also a bit about Kreuzwerker. What are you doing right now?
I mean, yeah, kreuzwerker is quite known in the AWS realm in the DACH region. We do a lot of things, but major pillars are we do migrations to the cloud. We do
Hmm.
optimizations or something improvements of workloads in the cloud. We have some special offerings regarding search
Hmm.
optimization, like Elastic in that region, and we're also doing managed services, but I don't want
Hmm.
to go really deep into that now. Kind of what might be really interesting is like what am I really doing as an evangelist, or kind of what we're there, and or shall I also talk a bit about where I come from, what is my
Yeah.
background? I mean, that's
Yeah. What is
perfectly
your
fine for
background?
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I've been a techie my whole life.
Hmm.
Yeah, started doing my own computer case modding back in school or something like that. And I studied IT because I thought, okay, playing video games is cool, so let's just study it. Like one of the
Hmm.
reasons why most people study
Yeah.
and tech or computer science. And I then realized, okay, it's quite fun to do all the math stuff, etc. So this is where I kind of started developing all this mindset. But after 3 years of working in IT, like after studying, I realized,
Hmm.
okay, is this everything? So I made a break. So I
Hmm.
went to travel the world. So I took my backpack and just traveled low budget for half a year. It was really nice
Hmm.
experience back in the days then 2015. I
Hmm.
did my master's, and during the master's, I really realized, okay, I like teaching. I was doing a lot of tutorials for other students, for
Hmm.
undergraduates. I really liked it, and this is now also why it's also part of my evangelist
Hmm.
job at the moment. I'll come back to that later. And I started doing DevOps without really knowing what it is back in the days, and it was quite
Hmm.
cool introducing all this stuff. I worked for a startup, which was like, okay, like 60 hours a week, just go for it, you do everything, which was really nice, but also kind of a bit stressful from time to time. But it's okay, it was a nice experience, don't regret it. And then I went to consulting because it's always this teaching mentality. I
Hmm.
could never stop. And actually, then teaching is also a big part of my evangelist job. So I'm doing a lot of internal training and enablement with all the knowledge I'm having. I'm transferring internally. For example, I have an office hour every Friday where people can come ask any question about AWS, bring their problem, bring whatever, let's discuss about your
Mhm.
solution, or I am telling what I've been doing in projects. I'm not only evangelist, but I'm also kind of having 30-40% principal consultant role, meaning I'm actively in projects.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
during the training and enablement, we also train consulting skills like presentation, like how to lead a meeting, how to keep the energy up, how to
Mhm.
deal in certain situations. So this is one kind of big block of being evangelist, is this training and transferring all my knowledge I gained over the years, transferring into the organization and to multiple people of different skill levels. So it started back in university, where I realized I really like it,
Mhm.
and it really got into that. And yeah, regarding the, I mean, funny side note, some people know it, like all this keeping energy up. I used to be a salsa dance teacher, and during
Ooh.
those sessions, you really have to keep the energy up, because people come to you because they want to be entertained, and all this I'm now putting into the evangelist role, or in this training, enablement, presenting, and also
Mhm.
public speaking, which is
Mhm.
also one of the bigger parts. Um, not only internally teaching our consultants, but also going to clients, and also publicly speaking on
Mhm.
conferences, on meetups, and talking about technical topics for
Mhm.
different audiences, like
Yeah.
really techy, but also, like, for example, explaining my girlfriend, for example, or explaining my sister, who are not in tech, or
Mhm.
my whole or friends,
Mhm.
or some other, or my dad.
Or
It's fun.
coming to Tech Roles Uncovered, right?
Or coming to
Like
Tech
this.
Roles Uncovered. Yeah, so if you have any, like, I'm just seeing if the questions are popping up, I'm happy to answer all of them. Um, so yeah, so those are kind of some pillars of my evangelist role.
Mhm. So now we have already quite some insights about this role. Definitely, we will have to go a little bit deeper inside
Of
to
course.
fully understand it. First, I would like to come back to Kreuzwerker. So Kreuzwerker
Sure.
is a consulting company.
Yes.
You are providing like building cloud service infrastructures for
Yeah.
clients. Do
Yes.
you have a specific specialty? Is it only AWS cloud services, or do you also offering other kind of cloud providers?
Nope. We're
No.
AWS only. We decided we only
Okay.
go with this cloud provider.
Hmm. And your clients, is it typical German clients or like Europe, Europe-wide clients?
We are operating in a DACH area,
Okay.
so
Hmm.
mainly in Germany, also Switzerland, some in Austria, but it's our main region, our
Hmm.
main support.
Hmm.
From time to time, we had one or two in the US, but really seldom.
Hmm. So now I have a question for the audience watching right now. Are
Knew it.
you familiar already with AWS? Have you worked with it? Do you use it regularly in your company, in your team? It would be really nice to know that. What are the people that are watching us right now?
Mhm.
Yeah, why they are here. Okay, so AWS only. How
Mhm.
did you come into this AWS world?
I mean, I just jumped into it. I
Okay.
remember um, that back in the days when I worked for the startup,
Hmm.
I came from I'd say more or less on-premise world before.
Hmm.
And in the startup, I had to go AWS. And in
Hmm.
this role, I did everything. So I had to learn like everything from scratch and just do it from day one, dig into it,
Hmm.
learn every day. So it was back in 2017-ish. Yeah.
Hmm. So I already see that like we sent out a question to the audience. So you may notice Manuel's special jacket, and that is also my next question to you. What is this golden jacket all about? Why are you wearing it? It looks really fancy, and
Mm.
yeah, I thought I have quite a similar jacket, but
Yeah.
still, it's not the same.
It's not the same
What is
yet.
it about?
Sure. I mean, uncovering it. So people who don't know it, they say, "Oh, it's a nice party jacket,"
Uh-huh.
which is perfectly fine. However, this is a jacket when you have all AWS certifications. I mean, when you passed all of them. At the moment,
Hmm.
there are 12. So
12. Okay.
12 all of them, including the ones we talked about before, like networking, security,
Hmm.
etc. So, and then you get this jacket. It used to be a rumor, but it really
Hmm.
exists.
Okay.
So yeah, people, like as I said, I was on reInvent last year, and my goal was to have it before reInvent, and I was running around with the jacket every day, and the
Okay.
bouncers said, "Nice party jacket, man," and
Uh-huh.
the other ones who knew it, they congratulated. Some even wanted to take photos. I found it quite interesting.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's kind of an achievement in this, a technical achievement in that AWS world. Yeah.
So you did 12 AWS certificates. That's all of like 12. It's the maximum that you can do right now. So you
At the
did
moment.
everyone
Yeah.
at the moment right now.
Yeah.
In which time did you achieve that?
Okay, so I started in 2020, I think. I did 3 of them in
Okay.
2020. And 2021, I did one, like the solution architect professional, which was also really tough. Yes. And also, I think the cloud practitioner, the first one, the foundation level. And then last year, I did 7. So,
Last
like,
year you did 7
mhm,
certifications.
yeah,
Okay.
it's possible.
Congratulations on that. It's possible. Okay. I thought it's quite stressful. So would imagine to have 7 certification, like you have to prepare for it, you have
Yeah.
to study stuff.
Yeah.
You need to go like you have, or you do it all remotely, but still it takes some time in order
Mhm.
to go through the examination. So
Yeah.
it's definitely some invest that you took. Was it something that is, or would you say it's mandatory for being an AWS Evangelist?
It's a nice proof of credibility, I would say. I mean, there are also, I mean, the certifications you can really, if when you know the patterns or how the questions are, how to prepare, then you can, so call it, optimize it for the exam, which then you just learn it for the exam, and then you
Yeah.
afterwards you forget it. But this kind of was not the intention. So I always did
Yeah.
practical tests before, like I did some workshops. So I really wanted to understand it. And I really like learning. This is why I kept doing it. It can be quite stressful. Yes, it was from time to time. But I had a bunch of train rides from Berlin to Frankfurt and back. And I always used this 4 hours to study and prepare. So yeah, then it was kind of, it's possible it's a bit stressy. Yes, I don't know. Ask me in 3 years if I recertify. Most probably not all of them, but for now it's good. Yes.
Is there anybody outside watching us right now that has at least once AWS certificates? Well, I have none. I cannot I cannot show you anything about,
Okay.
or I don't have any of these AWS certificates. Even though I
No
was
worries.
a data scientist, I never used to work with AWS. But it's already some years ago, so maybe it was a different time. However, would be nice to know if there are people outside that also went through this examination phase. Okay, so AWS Evangelist, something that first comes to my mind is, of course, religion, preaching, teaching,
Yeah.
probably also.
Yeah.
But what are other people assuming, like in the first place, when they hear about your role? What is your experience?
In the, like, usually in the tech world, an evangelist is kind of a more known term. So it's someone who, when you see kind of the stages of, you start as a junior, then you are not associate or something, but then senior, principal, and then you go kind of a bit more. When you have so much knowledge, then it's more valuable that you transfer it to others to lift them up. So yeah, it's not, I mean, AWS is not my religion, let's call it like this. I like it. I don't want to do any other hyperscaler at the moment. However, it's more about you teach it. You love talking about, I love talking about what I'm doing. So I'm this techie by heart, like, since all the time. And this is what this kind of, the combination of knowledge and energy, you transfer it. And then I'm really enjoying all this time I can talk about it. Sometimes even too much for my girlfriend, but she's just kind of keeps me calm. That's good. No, we're having good times. But yeah, this is going out, talking about what we do at AWS, what we do at Kreuzwerker. So really having a really good technical knowledge about all sorts of like a lot of terms, and I can really like combine it.
Mhm.
For example, then in those office hours, people can just come and ask me anything, and then we find a
Mhm.
solution. And even if I don't know it, sometimes I get the joke, dude, you have the
Mhm.
golden jacket, you have to know everything. And I say, no, 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 no. It's not. I don't have to know everything, but I know where to look at. Even
Mhm.
like AWS is evolving so fast, so I cannot catch up. However, this is like speaking in front of others, transferring the knowledge, being able to adapt to the audience, being able to adapt to different personalities
Mhm.
out there, and dealing with some people would like to know facts, facts, facts. The other ones want to more high level, more convincing, more inspiring, confidence. So adapting to
Mhm.
all those sorts. So it's a big part is really speaking.
Mhm.
And also my one of the part is to be kreuzwerker's main face to the outside technically.
Mhm.
And also not accepting all the solutions which people give me, or not taking everything for granted, like this critical thinking and questioning. And I
Mhm.
really like this. And I also like to get challenged. I like when somebody's challenging me. I don't care which level or certificates or whatever you have. Sometimes it's really good people having not so much knowledge and having a different view and
Yeah.
challenging the stuff I'm saying. Like, oh, Manu, how did you mean that? Can you please elaborate? This doesn't make sense for me. And I'm like, okay, how do
Mhm.
you mean that? Explain it to me. Dealing with all those sorts. This is what I
Yeah.
really like. Yeah.
I can imagine there are many like by heart evangelists out there because
Mm.
techies that I know often, or many of the techies that I know, are so passionate about a specific technology. They love to share their knowledge. They love to talk about it. But still, what would you say from your experience? What does it take? Like, what is the extra mile to go in order to, yeah, shift from an engineer with a lot of
Hmm.
passion for technology into an evangelist? Like in your case, AWS
Yes.
specified or
Talking
focused.
about it. Talking
Mm-hmm.
about it. Many engineers, they love to be like in their room,
Mm-hmm.
being like whatever, don't
Mm-hmm.
want to talk. The only way I want to talk is with my chat tools or whatever. Just sorry for the generalization, the
Mm-hmm.
engineers and engineers. But getting out of this, talking about it, really being comfortable speaking in front of people, like, or
Mm-hmm.
now like taking the opportunity you offered me, I'm really grateful for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like speaking about it, sharing the knowledge, being present, and being also recognized for something like this. This is then the next step, being able to explain to different audiences different complex technical topics,
Mm-hmm.
getting out of this zone of, okay, I keep it for me, and this sharing, but in a way that it's also, I would not say entertaining, but I'm
Mm.
just lacking the word, but inspiring for others.
Yeah.
This is what I would think. Then you
Yeah.
go to the next level, sharing your knowledge in written
Mm.
form, in spoken form.
But still having a little bit
Mhm.
of entertainment involved, I
Yeah.
would say so, because when you're teaching with passion, you're
Yeah.
always also entertaining. Just remember your previous like
Mhm.
professors, teachers in university and school, which had been the best. That one they were passionate about. They were
Yes.
really they loved to share their knowledge, and then they were also entertaining in the same
I know.
time, even though it's not the same like the entertainment that we used to understand when thinking of television or I don't
Mm.
know, a concert by somebody.
That's true. Sometimes
Yeah.
technical topics can be really dry and really like, I
Mm.
mean, I can just like read the slides or things, but that's not what it's about. People want to come there. They want to like also have a certain amount of energy
Yeah.
and passion for it. And this
Mm.
is what I mean. I mentioned it before, like in the salsa realm, I learned that like really my first salsa teacher, he was not Latin American or something, but he going to his lessons every Monday was just so much fun because he was just joking around, and while we were laughing and having fun, we were learning.
Mm.
And this is what I try to transfer also to those events, integrating people, integrating the audiences, not only me speaking. Like, I'm not here praising, so I'm not here
Yeah.
like gonna explain something, challenge me, and I'm gonna also incorporate you folks. So it's kind of a taking and giving, and not
Mm.
only I'm preaching. So it's
Mm.
not this thing. So keeping this balance and also get a feeling how your audience is behaving.
Mhm.
I think then you come to the speaking part, in
Yeah.
the written part, it's different. In the written part, it's okay, what is your audience, and then you write it down. So I would say
Mhm.
that this is kind of the step to get even out of the principal role. Although the principal role, for example, at Kreuzwerker really has a high part of sales activities in it, and
Mhm.
sales is also then a different way of communication.
Mhm. Do you have
Mhm.
multiple evangelists at Kreuzwerker right now?
No,
Only
no,
one. Okay,
no.
only you.
We only
Mhm.
have one. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe also to give everything a little bit more data, or
Yeah.
to evaluate a little bit in a more quantitative way. Thank you very much for giving me this kind of estimation on which kind of categories your time
Mhm.
you spend. Um, how did you decide for which category?
Mhm.
Have you checked your calendar the last year, the last weeks? Is it a typical day that it's representing?
It's based on data, but also combined with gut feeling,
Mhm.
in that. So it might not 100% correct, but this is kind of the
Yeah.
things which I'm mainly doing. So it's a
Mhm.
lot of concept work.
Mhm.
Concept, like staying up to date with AWS, what is happening, what are they doing, how does, for example, topics evolve, such as landing zones, which is one of the
Mhm.
topics I
Mhm.
own. Well, we have this tool called Superwerker
Mhm.
still, which we built a couple of years back, something like that. What is new? How can we grow this? What new things are coming out? Is this interesting for our internal consultants, and also kind of designing this?
Mhm.
I'm challenging architectures from other consultants, for example, internally in this office
Mhm.
hours, if they bring them, if it's needed. I still do hands-on coding, so I don't want to lose this handcraft. I mean, I've been doing it
Mhm.
for years, so I still like to train this. It's not so much as it was before, but it's still part. I'm reviewing
Mhm.
code,
Mhm. Yeah,
so
I summarized these two categories.
sure.
So coding and reviews. Yeah.
Yes, and it's also the others. The others is also still kind of my training. So I also
Mhm.
need to kind of move on and grow. And it's not only technical skills, but it's also skills how to make events, like how
Mhm.
to make events which are technically, but also make them really entertaining. What other stuff can we do for sort of a training?
Mhm.
And of course, I have meetings, but I try to reduce it really to a minimum.
Mhm.
So I kind of have this rule: if you set up a meeting for me without any agenda or goal, longer than 15 minutes, I decline it,
Mhm.
because it's
Okay.
not like, okay, I love, this is kind of my personality. I love kind of precision and kind of a way of preparation.
Mhm.
I love preparing asynchronously. So we really know, okay, what do we need to talk about? Is it really important? And yeah, so
Mhm.
I'm still trying to keeping this to a minimum, and most things you can do asynchronously nowadays. So the coding and review, I already mentioned it. I'm also
Yeah.
doing project work, so I'm keeping
Yeah.
this on. Mhm.
So keeping this project work, like
Mhm.
accept
Sure.
that a little bit for a while. So coming back to concepts and design, you said that you definitely you have to check what is new at AWS.
Mhm.
So your customers, your clients, so to say, as in your evangelist role, is
Yeah.
your are internal Kreuzwerker engineers, or is it also, or are it also like clients, like your Kreuzwerker clients? Who is your client? Like your role
My
client, so to
client,
say.
both.
Yeah, both.
Okay,
Okay.
my evangelist role, it's
Mhm.
internal.
It's
It's
only internal.
no, no,
Okay.
no, not only internal, because also the
Mhm.
main phase outside for Kreuzwerker, which I'm representing, so
Okay.
it's also external. So we
Mhm.
have kind of both our
Mhm.
clients, meetups, conferences,
Mhm.
blog posts, opinions about
Mhm.
this, and also things called immersion days, where we have a specific topic which we teach
Mhm.
then to specific audiences, which could be one company or multiple companies, which we did a bunch of them in Switzerland last year, which was really
Mhm.
nice. Yes, so it's both.
And in the same time, when you are challenging your engineers' work, for
Mhm.
example, on an architecture design,
Mhm.
they will do it definitely for some kind of like a company client. So then
Yes.
you're passively involved,
Indirectly, yeah.
indirectly involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. For
Uh-huh.
this training, so you said 20% most of the time it's your own individual training,
Mhm.
but still you mentioned that you're doing a lot of enablement and training for
Mhm.
developers. Where do you put it here? Is it still in the training category or somewhere else?
It's kind of, yeah, it's mostly both in there. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
training others, but also like training myself. So
Mm-hmm.
as I still have the hands-on part, so I really want
Mm-hmm.
to know, okay, what's this tech
Yeah,
tool
true.
hype? Shall I
Yeah.
really go with this?
Yeah.
Does this make sense? And
Mm-hmm.
using the tools myself, and then if they work, then I also present them to the others, and then they can decide if they want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And yeah,
Yeah,
let me just think about that.
yeah, sure.
Is that hmm. I
It's
think I
okay.
lost my question
No
somewhere
problem.
in our
In the
conversation.
room. Okay.
I
We got
think
a question from
we got
LinkedIn.
a
We can use that
question.
one. Mhm.
Ah, yes, from Sebastian. What are your best practices in
Okay.
order to make technical trainings? Ah, that was my question actually. Yeah, I had that in mind.
Okay, okay.
What are
Yeah.
your best practices in order
Mm.
to make technical trainings engaging and improve the overall delivery of dry tech topics?
Okay. Um, so for me, technical training doesn't start when the training starts, so it starts before.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I like to be at the venue early. If it's let's say it's on site.
Mm-hmm.
On site is the best. I mean, you can do remote, but let's keep it for on site or something like that. I'm there early, and I get to know the people before it starts. So I have some chit chats with the people before we start,
Mm-hmm.
and also try to remember the names, something like that, and to really have some points
Mm-hmm.
and some connections on certain topics. And then I know for example, during the whole talk, I also kind of go back to these little details I grasped before when we just got to know each other. So I try to make it for most people to be a personal
Mm-hmm.
kind of connection which we're having. It's not something you're just some random person showing up. So this is one thing, and I also try to make hands-on experiences. So it's not only talking, but it's also
Mm-hmm.
doing. So and then when we talk, the slides kind of should be not with too much text, in my opinion. So you have kind of some ideas which you want to transfer, and people shall get the high level ideas, and then in the hands-on they really get their hands dirty and get to know how this is really going.
Mm-hmm.
And making this technical setup easy. For example, bring your own AWS account is maybe not the best thing. We provide it. Like
Okay.
we give
Mm-hmm.
you one, you get access, you can use it the whole day. There are tools for this, for example. This is also
Mm-hmm.
part elaborating those tools to make my events smooth
Mm-hmm.
and seamless.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they get an idea how things really work. And when we do the hands-on, I prepare, for example, a website before where you have some text which you have to do, and then you have some code snippet you can copy out. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to like code everything. If you really want to understand, you can do that later, but you want to have quick things, for example, to really make some progress on
Mm-hmm.
this. And it's the mix of having the workshop a bit not too easy, but not too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it's also nice to get to know your audience before. Send out something, a questionnaire to get an idea, how is the audience? So it doesn't start at a technical training, it even starts before. Like know your audience, know the people, and then making it in a way kind of that. And then while I'm talking, it's not like I'm just reading slides, but I'm also kind of making fun, adding personal notes, personal experience. So then we come to the
Yeah.
point of storytelling,
Yeah.
which is another thing of how to host events. And I did some speaker training back in the time
Mm-hmm.
here in Frankfurt, really great trainer,
Mm-hmm.
which she gave me some video analysis, like 10 minutes speaking. We just kind of talked about it for 2 hours. So every word, every gesture. And this really helps to get to know how you're speaking, how you're entertaining, gesturing, joking, and doing this storytelling. you create images in the heads of the participants, and then they
Mhm.
can relate to a story you
Yeah.
have already lived. And now we're doing this, but don't do this because then you get into that trap, but we do it now the right way. And this is then the whole part of keeping it entertaining, personal stories, storytelling, having a connection, hands-on, and
Mhm.
then having a feeling of the energy in the room.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people are just then they might be tired or it's too overwhelming. For me, I can talk 8 hours about this. I'm just like I'm warming up. I just looked at the time. You're the timekeeper here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
meet some friends.
I am. We have
Always.
enough
I have a
time. Yeah.
meeting at 6, and later I meet with friends for
It's
dinner. But
okay.
you keep that anyway. So keep this energy. Keep
Mhm.
this energy up. Like also for now, I'm just making jokes about my private life, but I'm like switching back to my technical topics. So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm joking, but now we come back with the voice. This is all speaking. This is all this
Mhm.
public speaking skills, confidence, and also when something goes wrong, I joke about it. When something is falling down, or when somebody's coming in the door, you call it utilize. It's a technique of speaking. You utilize what's around for your own talk, and then it's like it feels natural, and then it feels easy and smooth, and people stick to your lips and to your stories. They create their own. But in the end, we're here for some technical stuff. We just learned technical stuff on the side, but we were just here and it was entertaining.
Yeah.
This is the key of making things kind of dry topics but entertaining. And if you want to have it kind of a bit more harder, we can make other workshops, but then we need
Mm.
some kind of pre-knowledge about it. So those are kind of speaking techniques combined with technical skills. I learned that in the salsa teacher. You have to improvise so much. Like now in tech stuff, if something's not working, okay, then just remove that account, take a new one. We start, it's like these are things which all came back from the past, adding up to this role and making things kind of
Yeah, I definitely experienced
entertaining.
this right now with you. So
Yeah,
I was listening now,
yeah.
5 minutes are over and I'm still quite impressed. And
Mm.
I'm really following you. I can now imagine how you're like staying in the room, how
Yeah,
you're entertaining the people, how they all have fun. Maybe they come there with a low energy because I don't know, some people experienced a bad day, but after that,
bad sleep, whatever.
like,
You never
yeah,
know.
whatever it is, but I think the goal is that they go out and they feel more energized after in the training, even
They
though
had a
it
good
was,
day.
yeah, they had a good day. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Just
So
some
how
ideas. Yeah.
to sum it up, right? Like about the skills, because you mentioned so many. What would you say
Mm.
are your most important skills right now in your current role?
Mm. It's a mix of technical skills and talking about it in the right way to the right audience. It's like
Hmm.
really putting it into the right, I don't know, frame is not the right word, but into the right depth,
Hmm.
being that. So
Hmm.
those are, and being up to date. I mean, it's called Evangelist. You always want to look up, and he knows a little bit more than you do, or he or she knows a
Hmm.
little bit more than you do. And keeping up this, staying up to date, and always kind of being present technically, but also then yeah, physically, speakingly,
Hmm.
etc.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say this is kind of it, and then all the other stuff derives from it.
Hmm. So, for people watching us, I don't know how many are still with us. If you have any questions
Sure.
to Manuel, now you still have the chance to ask him. And yeah, we will definitely want to answer it during our stream. And until we get some questions, maybe continuing with one of my favorite questions.
Yes.
So, regarding your whole career journey so far,
Mm.
what would you say had been your most important career booster?
The most important career booster. Mm, hmm. Like definitely. I mean, I think it was internally. That I think there are two parts. Like internally, it was my always being keen of learning. So I never
Mm-hmm.
stopped learning. and I always wanted to move on, which I had to learn, just slow it sometimes a bit down. But this
Mhm.
thing, curious, like,
Mhm.
okay, there's this new programming language or this new tool. Okay, I wanna try it. And
Mhm.
sometimes I sit, I'm doing it until late hours because I feel like I'm kind of doing it. I want to experience it. So this, like this, the curiosity, never
Mhm.
stop learning. This is what I really like, staying upfront. And career booster. Also, I had a mentor
Mhm.
back some years back, and he really challenged my personality.
Oh.
Yeah, he challenged it. It was really, really nice, because most of the time now when I speak in front of others, I kind of, there's this stuff coming up, like, okay, you feel shame, you feel like, oh, I'm not knowing enough, what if everything goes wrong, you have this, the brain circle, I don't know how to say that in English, going on, and then calming down on this, saying, okay, it's fine.
Mhm.
This personal growth, so this
Mhm.
mentor helped me a lot doing this, creating more personality on certain topics.
Mhm.
This was the external factor, but internally it was definitely, I always wanted to kind of keep on learning,
Mhm.
and when I do the things, I do them right, and
So
not kind of half.
yeah. So the
half.
mentor was not business related or professional related. It was something like you had in your life, but it was not
Mhm.
directly connected to your profession.
Yeah, it was.
It was okay.
Yes, when I was freelance, before I joined Kreuzwerker, he really helped me. I was in kind of a business circle with other entrepreneurs or freelancers who kind of challenged each other. You had a safe space where you could, like, kind of propose your new ideas, and then they would kind of support you or like really destroy you, but in a nice way. So did you think
Mhm.
of that? I was like, no, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
Mhm.
for example, like this, and in this circle, there was this mentor really like challenging me.
Mhm.
And for example, yeah, he said, look, if you don't face your fears, then you cannot grow. You have certain areas where you need to grow to become the one you want to become. But if you don't face it, you won't grow. And he
Mhm.
made me kind of the choice. I help you grow, but you need to want it. And this was kind of a personal step. It's called like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the external factor. It was really important person in my life. Really grateful.
Great. You're already the second person that I think you're the second person that mentioned the mentor.
Hmm.
Mentor as a very important part in the career that
Hmm.
helped
Yes,
in order to develop faster or in a other way than you could have developed yourself completely being
of
alone.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, what would you recommend to people if they are thinking about becoming an AWS evangelist?
Mm.
How would you maybe also change your way into this role when you would be able to jump back in time?
Mm. No, I wouldn't change it.
You
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
change
change.
anything?
No,
Okay.
no, no. It was all meant to be, like
Good.
all the struggles, maybe sometimes also suffering,
Mhm.
and of course all the good sides.
Mhm.
Mainly the good sides. I wouldn't change anything. Everything was a, a piece on the way, like a piece of the puzzle and something like that. So as it's a lot of speaking, it's a lot of going out.
Mhm.
What I would, you really need to be comfy with that.
Yeah.
So if you're not comfy with that, think about it. If you really want this,
Mhm.
if this is really the way you want to be seen, you want to be perceived, or how you want to also like expose yourself. Kind
Mhm.
of, I'm talking here. Maybe some people don't like this, so they say, "Oh, look at this
Probably they
guy
will.
jacket
Yeah.
here. What does this guy want? Blah blah blah." And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, this is like, it's your opinion. It's fine. I don't care. I like this thing. So I'm running around. Also here in the city, it's so funny. In the banking district, people look at me. What the? Anyway, I don't care. It's
Mhm.
growth and personality, because you expose yourself, and you have attack surface, and people will kind of do this. It's fine. You cannot make
Mhm.
everyone happy. Dealing with that is something else, because I realized in my past I was just hiding. I was not. I tried to be invisible, which is
Mhm.
all. Was my pattern before.
Mhm.
And if you want to be somebody who exposes themselves, then think about this, and it's a lot of personal growth, in my opinion, not only technical stuff, because at the end, it's just, if I generalize it, it's a topic you deliver, in which you're expert. And
Yeah.
delivering, exposing yourself means you have an attack surface in something like that.
Yeah.
And feel comfy about this. Think about this if you really want it. And if you really want it, there might be some things you have to go through, some muddy
You have
parts of the path.
some examples, like 1, 2?
Yeah, like for example, when I had once, I delivered a training, and the prerequisite was not kind of really good, and then technical stuff failed, and then you stand there, and then you have to kind of start improvising, and then you feel the energy in the room. People are like, oh, you see that, and then the question is, does it affect you, or doesn't it affect you?
Yeah.
I mean, when you get affected by this, people have this sense of unconscious feeling, like, can we now trigger the trainer?
Yeah.
Be spontaneous, be able to fix this, being able to do something else, because in the end, you need to be, in my opinion, fine with your personality when you expose yourself. And the knowledge level can vary. You cannot make everyone happy, or you need to have a target audience. But I think like 1 or 2 examples was when something really goes wrong, and sometimes I'm also still really nervous. Also today, I was a little bit nervous before the talk, and it's completely fine. Accepting
It's
this,
normal. Yeah.
accepting, like, we're live, and things can go wrong, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And this, I think this, things can always happen, or somebody really attacks you, like in a meeting, a client gets angry, but okay, like, what's happening then? I had the meeting where I really felt attacked by this, and I had problems dealing with it, but now I'm like, okay, I have ways to deal with that now.
So like a mental stability is required.
Yeah.
Definitely a bit of self-confidence, or
Yeah.
maybe also a bit more than a bit of self-confidence,
Yeah.
and that you like to go out with your
Expose yourself.
experience and expose yourself. Really, really nice. So
Yeah.
looking to the time,
Are we over time?
we are already a little bit over time, but still I
Okay.
have my final question
Go for it.
that I prepared for you, which I
Sure.
really want to ask you about that. I know that you like emojis, and that you take
Love
them
it.
and use them a lot. What is currently your most often, how is it? Most often used
Use
emoji?
emoji. It's the
Yeah.
rocket. I love
It's
the
the
rocket.
rocket? Okay.
Yeah, I always
Rocket.
I use the rocket a lot.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good ending. So I hope we rocked this episode
Sure.
together. I liked it a lot. I think it was a lot of energy. It was so much passion that I was able to recognize like over the camera, and it
I'm
was
happy to
really
hear
nice.
that.
I found it really interesting. I also hope that like the watchers outside were interested and found it interesting as well. And thank you very much, Manu, for joining me,
You're
for
welcome. Thanks
being
for
here.
the offer. And then also, I just got it. I saw the message, like Mark from my team, he was messaging.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks a
Mark, for
lot
joining.
for the insightful interview. Good questions and new perspectives from my very valued colleague, Manuel. Thank you very
Thanks,
much,
Mark.
Mark, for joining us. Have a good evening. And maybe to summarize it and to look into next week. So next week's episode is about the data lead. We will have a guest. His name is Arman Zavuk. He is from Thoman.io. And what is different next week is that we have a public holiday on Thursday. So we will have the stream already on Wednesday. Check it out in the event note on LinkedIn and YouTube. And I'm looking very much forward to seeing you again next week. And now, thank you very much, Manu. Have a very nice evening. Bye
You're
bye.
welcome. Thank you, Sarah. Bye bye.